Welcome to BSW's Tech Dive. Tech Dive.
Submerge the ship.
The show goes technically deep into products you care about. The new, the old, the newish. So put on your gear, close up the hatch, and prepare to
Dive. Submerge the ship.
And now, here's John.
Welcome to this edition of BSW Tech Dive. I am John Lynch, Director of Business Development here at BSWUSA.com, Broadcast Supply Worldwide. My guest today is Jeff Welton. He is with Nautel. We're going to be talking about a brand new transmitter series that they've brought out that's got a lot of excitement going on in the broadcast industry, and we're going to let Jeff talk about it from there. But Jeff, the first question is, this is a kind of an extension or maybe a redirection of the very popular VS series, which is not going away, but now we bring on the VX series, which fills in a lot of gaps that were there originally with the VSs being 300,000 and 2.5 kilowatts. Now you've got a lot more choices going the VX route.
Correct. Yeah, we've with the VX we've got a total of 10 power levels now, 150, 300, 600 kilowatt, and so on up. We're going all the way up to 5 kilowatts with it at the moment. I'm going to correct you on one thing, though. It's not really an extension or a redirection of the VS. This was a complete ground-up redesign. I mean, we started this thing from scratch. And I've been on the product development team since 2015, 16, 17, and around there. And we really, I said, basically, I want something, I want a tank. I want something I can throw in a grain elevator and plug it in, and 5 years from now, it'll still be running. But it's got to have all the big boy bells and whistles, you know, the user interface, the sleek and shiny stuff. So it's really kind of a divergence from anything else. And it's got to be something you can work on, because historically the rack mount transmitters, you know, they're small, they're compact, they work really well, and they're less expensive, but they tend to be a dog to work on. And anybody who's done any amount of engineering knows if current flows through something, at some point current will stop flowing through it. And at that point, you need something you can get apart to get the pieces out of to get it built and going again.
And by the way, thank you for clarifying that on the development of the VX series, because it is important for people to know, because so many people have used over the last bunch of years the VS series. So this is not an extension or a redirection, but it's actually a totally redevelopment. I like that phraseology, and it makes sense because there are so many holes in the VS series of 3 transmitters that the VX is now going to fill.
Right. And I mean, this was developed primarily for that market, for the translators, the fill-ins, the low power applications. So at the onset, we only looked at analog. And the reason for that, we found this really awesome new FET that is incredibly rugged and amazingly, look at me with all the adjectives, but it's really high efficiency. And the only challenge is it doesn't lend itself well to linearization. And I mean, a FET is a switch. On or off are the two primary happy places. So trying to run it in that in-between linear mode has always been a challenge. And this one, we've just not even gone that way. So it is an analog-only design. And it, as I said, it's geared to be really efficient and really reliable. I mean, right down to we heat mapped the airflow through the thing when it was running at way beyond its rated output. And we used that to develop the internal chassis structure, just so we control exactly where the air goes to get it where it's needed.
What was the decision process involved deciding we're going to go as far as 5 kW on this model?
A lot of it was logistics. I mean, and of course competitive. I mean, to be honest, there's a lot of 5 kilowatt and lower rack mount transmitters out there. I mean, we've been really, really happy with the VS series. It's been a solid performer, excellent reliability. There's over 8,000 of them in the field. So, I think our customers are liking them. So making it the big challenge. The one thing people well, the one thing though, two of the big things were, as you've mentioned before, the number of options. If you've got a translator that needs a 500 watt TPO, a kilowatt transmitter is kind of overkill. So a 600 watts fills that gap nicely. The other thing was that the VS, like a 2.5 kilowatt, weighs close to 70 pounds. That's you're pushing the limits for a single man lift, especially if the single guy is, like most of us engineer types, getting a whole lot less young and trying to put it into the top of a 6-foot rack. So, a VX2 as an example weighs less than 30 pounds.
Excellent from that standpoint, and very critical information. Thanks for sharing on that when it comes to the weight. And I believe you also mentioned that one distinct difference is, correct me if I'm in error here, the VS series has the ability to go to HD should the end user want to. The VX really does not. Am I right?
Correct. Yeah. The VX has not even, we haven't even considered HD. So if, and this is a huge if we ever do decide to do that down the road, and it has been requested already, then just understand that the ones we're shipping now, that's not even a consideration. So it is an analog only box. That means we will continue to build the VS for our HD customers. And the cool thing about that is for the folks that have, as I said, the 8,000 odd VS transmitters out there, that means that there's not just that we're continuing support, which we do on everything we've ever built, but that these will be in constant and current production for the foreseeable future. So we're not even pulling them out of production. So, it gives us, it's just about flexibility and options.
So anywhere from in the 5,000 watt range and below on the FM, VX and VS are going to cover most everybody that needs to be in that vicinity then.
Right. And I mean, the VX, as I say, it's got some advantages. I mean, everything is top accessible, so there's no more crawling in underneath to get to a power amp or a power supply. Power supplies, by the way, are front panel accessible, so you don't even need to open it up to if you have to swap out a supply. So just like I said, a lot of it was developed with both an eye toward rugged and keeping it really performing well, but toward being able to maintain it easily when you do need to get into it.
Is there a bit more simplicity, maybe an installation or an operation or whatever of the VX series because of when it's been developed as opposed to the VS series, which has been out for over a decade?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, as I said, we modeled the airflow with tools that didn't even exist when the VX was developed. So, I mean, that's one example. I mean, we've optimized the airflow system like you wouldn't believe. And that allowed us to use variable speed fans, and the fans themselves are engineered. The blades are pitched at a different angle so that the perceptual sound when the fan's running at the same speed as a VS fan is a lot less noticeable. You can actually have a conversation in front of one of these transmitters, and that's something that was a little more challenging with the older ones. So,
yes, and most any other transmitter for that matter too. But yeah, when like when it was debuted and shown at the NAB show, for example, the noise level, as far as in the room, I'm not talking about on the air, but in the room, distinctly different VX versus VS.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And I say it's two things. I mean, it is the actual SPL has gone down, but the perceptual noise, I mean, that's something that really kind of blew my mind. That adjusting the pitch of the fan blade allows you to still move the air, but make it put the noise in a frequency that is less objectionable, I guess, if you're trying to have a conversation in front of it. So that's one thing. When you look in the top of the transmitter, you'll notice that there are a lot fewer wires because the board is laid out so that the signal flow is here to here to here to here. and we don't have nearly as much of a wire harness. That's twofold benefits. Number one, there's less stuff for the mouse to chew on because eventually one will find its way into these things. They always do. And number
Wonderful.
two, the cost of production goes way down, which means that we're able to drop the price of the box quite a bit. So, that, again, benefits all around.
Now, with the VX series, what we're doing with it now, we have a situation. I've always said this from the days when I was on the air. A transmitter has one job. Stay on. Yours do.
Yep. Yep, and this is very much, like I said, it's ruggedized components. The board layouts are designed so that the airflow over circuits is severely reduced from the previous. Front panel accessible. It's got the user interface that people have grown to love, but it's got a little front panel with a single control knob that, turn and push. So, and it's got on, off, and remote local buttons for us Luddites who actually like to have buttons. So, yeah, it's really been an evolution, and we paid a lot of attention. Well, there were a lot of customers involved in this. I mean, we put this in front of more people and said, "Hey, we want to do this. What do you think?" Or, you said you'd like this. Will this do it? And it's really been, I think we probably put more time into the input stage of bringing this one to market than almost anything we've done in the 30 years I've been here.
One of the things that's worked out really well for us is whether it's one of our sales reps or myself or whomever, and not just here on the Tech Dive show, but on the everyday business that we're doing, we have customers that need some really specific answers, gets a little bit more technical than some of us are educated. So we get you on the line with us. We get one of the other engineers on the line. But we do this collectively and cooperatively with BSW and Nautel, so the customer gets the answers up front and understands what they're looking for and what they can expect from their Nautel transmitter. And the way that you do that, well, it's right up, not there, it's right up. Where'd it go? How about over here? Where's that? I don't know, we never know which way the camera goes, but you see in the top left, is the phone number for BSW. It's 800-426-8434, and you can call us. We can conference call with Jeff or one of the others at Nautel. Get answers ahead so you understand what you can expect, and then go from there, because it's been a great relationship between our two companies, and we just continue on because you get the answers you need right away.
Right, exactly. And I mean, even beyond that, we have our weekly call where we talk back and forth, and it's like, what are your customers looking for? How can we work together to provide that?
Jeff Welton has been my guest here on Tech Dive. I want to thank you, Jeff, for all the information. We're talking about the new series from Nautel. It's the VX, as in Victor X-Ray. That's the new series from Nautel for anywhere from the lowest power range on up to 5,000 watts. And for more details, call us at 800-426-8434 or email your favorite BSW sales rep. For Jeff Welton, I'm John Lynch. Thanks for joining us on this edition of Tech Dive.